Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Hello, welcome back to podcast 43. I'm your host, Chris Borg, joined again with my great host and co-host and all those other filler words, Fulton Collins.
I didn't get best friend this time. Wow. Hello, thank you. Yeah, thank you for picking such a wonderful movie. And I'm excited to talk about it. It's great.
Oh.
Glad to be back too as well.
Yeah, for sure. Glad
I know I'm not normally here, but I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, well, ever since the Fifth Harmony lawsuit happened, it's been taking up a lot of time.
Because I was the main perpetrator of that whole thing, so I kind of had to step away from the podcast there for a bit.
So I picked Sunrise because I've always been interested in this film.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody that has enjoyed Murnau a lot as a director, and also I see Murnau as this director that is appreciated and people commend him for all of his innovations behind the camera, but does not get the same type of attention that some other early silent directors receive. And I've also been reading this book on Murnau by Lottie Eisner, who's was a film historian, and she kind of wrote this comprehensive guide to Murnau in 1975. And it's a good book. I would recommend people to pick it up if you can find a copy. It's like out of print and it's like $100 used. Fortunately, the library at University of Georgia had it, but she kind of also mentions this, how, and when it comes to German directors, he doesn't have as much, people don't give him as much attention as like somebody like Fritz Lang and G.W. Pabst. And he also lived a much shorter life compared to those other two. He never was fortunate enough to make a sound film because he died in a car accident tragically in 1931. So also on top of that, a lot of his films are missing. About nine of them are missing. So of the 21 films that he made, only 13 of them have survived in their entirety. So that definitely hurts. It hurts in a lot of ways, but it's hard to give him as much attention and as much appreciation that I think that he wholeheartedly deserves, when that's like quite a large amount of his filmography that's just gone. So
yeah, well, I think even with I think what we have is still like so. It's unfortunate that we have not found those yet, but I mean I think there's hope, because there is stuff kind of coming out every day in terms of like film restoration and what people are finding, and so I think it is very interesting. So who knows, we might still get those lost. You said 9, correct?
Yes, nine films.
So I would hope, because I think I mean, I definitely want to like dig more into it, and especially into his life, and kind of learn more about him and more about his movies, because I have a very limited knowledge on him, but it is very fascinating, and I would like to know like how his transition to kind of like talkie films would have gone, because I think he would have done great. I mean, honestly, I mean, based off of like what Sunrise has shown us, I mean, it kind of is it's an extremely visual film, but at the same time there are kind of moments where you can hear the characters. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I feel like you can really understand the characters based off of like their body language and everything. And I think like talking, I just feel like it feels like a talkie film, Sunrise, to me, in a weird way, but it's still extremely visual.
Well, it was released in that liminal space of Hollywood filmmaking where they had the technology for sound film to be produced for feature length projects, but they were still testing the waters. So this was a early example of Fox's movie tone technology, which was the synchronized sound that you heard in the film. So you'd have the sound cues that would occur when there would be the jazz band playing, for example, or the cars, or just the people chattering amongst themselves at the club that they're at in the film. So it really does make it a more lively film, and it really adds to it. Because like one of my biggest gripes with like early silent films is that they don't have any type of music accompaniment that was written specifically for the film. And so what you're left with is just a bunch of images that synchronize to some classical piece of music, but deserve more care when being presented. And so I think it really can take away a lot from the film, just if you don't have the right music, because like music is, I would say, more important in a silent film than in a sound film because of that reason. You're just a lot more attentive to the sounds on screen and how they kind of coalesce with the image.
Yeah. And I just think like I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I think like the music compositions are built into this movie. Like, I don't know, it seems very, very like extremely well thought out, because they kind of do this thing near like the end of it, where the husband is kind of calling out, and they have like this little I don't even know what you would call it, but they have this sound that accompanies him like kind of screaming out. But they find a way to kind of bake it into the film, so by the time that you get to when he actually is calling out, it feels almost like it feels very natural. It feels like you're hearing, him call out for his wife. But not to jump, too far ahead, I kind of wanted to talk about the beginning, just before we dive a little bit deeper. But I thought the opening was fantastic. I've never really seen the film is edited in a very, very interesting way, where you is it called interploit interploitation? I forget what the actual like technical term is for it, but they have like a ton of images overlaid each other, so we kind of like they kind of or I should say he builds this sense of like excitement and travel by having like this train go by, and then another train is occupying another kind of it's like a slant on the screen, and you're seeing like three trains go by, and then you see like this beach, and then you see people like jumping into the water and like in their bathing suits and everything, and then we kind of have the title cards. Well, actually the title cards play before that to kind of set where this character is.
And the look of the film takes a lot of cues from Murnau's expressionist roots as a German director. And that was kind of basically the reason why this film was made, was because of how big his films were in America, as well as in Germany. And William Fox just really, really wanted him to make a movie in Hollywood, and pretty much just gave him as much money as he wanted to build these elaborate sets that what I'm getting a number, and it says it was about $200,000 to build that set, which is the numbers from John Ford, The Man in His Films by Tag Gallagher, because apparently they would just reuse the set on the Fox lot because it was so expensive to make, including in a John Ford film, Four Sons. So it also was not financially successful film. So he kind of never was allowed to work with this much freedom post Sunrise, unfortunately. but yeah, it is just a very stunning film. Like all those city shots are insane. Like
And
my
the
mouth.
circus.
Oh yeah, the circus.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. I was so because it's like a relative. It feels like, although you get to the city, it still feels kind of like a small scale movie. And then you get to the circus with that dance hall and that first shot going into like the circus, you kind of go through this tunnel and then you're seeing the actual like roller coaster built. It's insane. But I just wanted to, I don't know how accurate this is, but I looked up a calculation, inflation calculator, and 200,000 is 3.2 million now.
Yeah.
Just to like give, like kind of like a reference point. But you were saying about the sets.
Oh well also the way that the camera like kind of traverses these sets is very beautiful and also endemic of his style as a director, where how he pioneered the unchained camera, which is what it was called, which was like kind of a a technique that was first debuted in his film The Last Laugh from 1924, which is like also a masterpiece, where the camera just freely is able to move around. And I can imagine that audiences in the 20s going to the pictures were like it's like what like we're just so shocked by just this new type of dimension to cinematography that they had never seen before.
Mhm.
And I really think that uh this film is just it helps kind of symbolize like their love with the way that the camera kind of moves, so
Mhm.
it flows so well as they're just kind of like running around and like doing all this thing together, like almost like rediscovering what why they fell in love in the first place. So
Yeah. For such a kind of dark opening, the film really does. It's really funny and it has a lot of heart too, which I was not expecting. But for people who might not know, we have the husband is a farmer, and he has kind of fallen out of love with his wife, and he's taken on an affair with a woman that is vacationing in the little kind of what would you call that? The little kind of lakeside town that he lived in.
mhm.
And so he takes up an affair with her, and she's like, come on, you've got to come with me, you've got to come with me. And I really do love and tying it back into what you were saying about how his expressionist roots are showing. I mean, it's like the whole shot of seeing him and the mistress kind of come together in like this foggy kind of like wooden.
Yeah.
It's shot so well. And there's this shot where you kind of see him pushing through like the reeds, and then the camera kind of like swivels into like these leaves, and then you see the leaves open, and then the mistress is right there. It's extremely like, I mean, gothic as it should be, because it is a very kind of seedy thing. And then so um, and I don't know. It's just it's really, really, really well done. And so she tries to convince him to kill his wife so that they can move to the city, so they can sell the farm and everything. And so it does take a toll on him. He's already kind of disheveled in the beginning of the movie, but he becomes even more disheveled, and his head is hanging low, and there's shadows all over his face and everything. And one thing I also wanted to note is I do kind of appreciate how um, I would have to assume this was intentional, but he is dressed in more darker tones, and the mistress is dressed in very kind of dark tones, but yet the wife is dressed in very light tones as well.
Yeah, and
Um,
just like really good casting with like Janet
oh
Gaynor. She has
God,
such an
yeah.
innocent, just like an innocent face
Hmm.
to kind of juxtapose the seedy
So,
woman from the city played by Margaret
yeah.
Livingston.
And oh man, I mean, I wrote down stuff. I was super excited to talk about it, but like I just think like and for a silent film, you can't really, rely on like voiceover narration in the way that you could with a voice with a talkie film. And so I really like, and this might be wrong to describe it as this, because I always get kind of tricky, or I always get iffy about subjectivity versus objectivity, but like I feel like there was a lot of mental subjectivity, like experimentation going on with like how they were shooting, or I mean how they were like conveying his mental kind of state. I thought was extremely interesting, especially, I'm not like, I'm taking a history of cinema one class, so I'm still like at 1917, so I'm not there yet. So I don't know really if some of these techniques were in practice at the time, but they just feel like they're so well. I mean, even if, if they were created for this movie, that's amazing, but I really feel like they're perfected in this movie, if not, you know.
Yeah, no, it's he was a pioneer, Murnau, in so many ways when it came to filmmaking. And yeah, it's just such a shame that he didn't get to continue on that
Mhm.
route due to his premature death. And like another thing that I just love about this movie is that it has this sense of like, just, well, like you said about like um subjectivity to
Mhm.
it, where there's like this magical realism or poetic realism,
Mhm.
where it's just kind of like the strength of like the two leads love is just like so powerful that they can just kiss each other passionately in the middle of the street, and then like all the
That's such a
cars in the
good
intersection
scene.
just stop. Like
And it feels like the whole city comes to a halt to
uh-huh.
like, but it's I love that scene because it's got a lot of heart, but it's extremely funny too, the way they kind of frame the whole thing is like they literally disrupt the whole city at its core. And there's like this one dude that comes up to the husband and he's trying to like take him in. He's like, hey, come here, come here, come with me. And they, of course they run off, as as they should. um
And
but yeah.
it's just
Mhm.
like there's just like little things about like them like kind of rediscovering that they love each other in the latter part of the film, where he's not as like worried about like all this stuff, or like even like this type, like when they're like going out to eat dinner
Mhm.
and the waiter gives them the check, and then George O'Brien's character doesn't have enough money to pay, and then she's just like, okay, I got it. And it's just like these are just two people that are like so, like I said, it's very poetic because it's so like
Mhm.
unrealistic, but it's like very beautiful because it's just like pure emotion that's just being projected on the screen almost, where
Yeah. I was gonna touch on that because I think it's like, it is like, if you were to look at it literally, like it is kind of unbelievable, but I think it's like cinematically dramatic. If I can kind of like pinpoint a way that I feel about it, because like with certain things in cinema, it just kind of like the emotions are conveyed in such a way that you're willing to buy into it. Because I mean, at the beginning of the film, he's going to kill her, but he has such a 180, about being pushed to that edge, that he realizes, what he would lose if he was to go and commit that murder and everything. But I completely agree. It is like poetic in that way.
yeah, I think that also the kind of way that it portrays the divide between rural and urban uh residents is interesting from an autorial standpoint. When you look at Murnau's film City Girl, which I also had the privilege of watching this week, which is about a girl from the city going marrying a guy that is a farmer, and then going to live on the farm with him, and how that shows, and how this portrays like urban life, and how like there's like this city girl that's like almost kind of getting in the way of this like idyllic, right, of this like ideal life that this guy has with his family, his wife and his kid. And I just don't know like if what Murnau's thoughts were on that, because I don't know. I just see some common threads when it comes to that type, when it comes to those aspects in both these films. But also they, well, I guess I just wanted to cap that off with saying that there's like some the way that this film ends is it will make you believe in love. This whole film. And it's I've also thought to myself, like, how can we can get all these technical advancements in cinema, and we can advance in all these new and inventive and exciting ways, but stuff like this is still very resonates with us still so much, because it's just a real testament to like that these are just is an expression of emotion, and like emotions are constant throughout the history of humanity. And so that there's like, there's a reason why we still read Candide or Dante's Inferno, or all these other ancient works of literature. And I see film is exactly the same in that way. It's like you can change things as much as you want, you can create new advancements, but if you don't have that emotion, if you don't have that center to your film, like, then who cares if you have all these new bells and whistles to play with?
You calling out James Cameron?
No, I love James Cameron.
No, I'm just fucking around. I just, as a side note, I think like for because I think there are certain people that see a black and white film and don't want to watch it, or there are people that see a silent film and don't want to watch it. I say watch this one. If this one will surely reassure you. I didn't mean to say that so convolutedly, but I mean, because like when if you look at it, and I think I think we just watched this movie at a very good time for me when I'm learning about a lot of early cinema. I mean, like the rapid growth of cinema during this time in terms of like techniques and like style is insane. I mean, because you're like 10 years prior, we're doing like serials, right? Like we're making feature-length films, but I mean, mainly not in like America. We haven't really gotten to like the feature-length film as like we know of it now, but like just the rapid growth. Yeah, like the rapid growth in terms of like technique, style, acting is changing. Like I think like this film is a great film in terms of acting as well. I mean, it's a great film to kind of look at all the aspects of filmmaking, but I think it is a great film for acting as well, because I mean it is kind of it is over the top, but I think it ties back into what you're saying about it being poetic. Like it's poetic in a way that's very like believable at the same time. And I think oh man, everyone acts with such good body language in this film. Like they really carry their emotions on their sleeves.
Like did you see that, that scene at the end where it turns where it turns out that Janet Gaynor's character is okay and everybody's really happy, and there's like that old man, and he like turns his cheek towards the woman as if he's like asking for a kiss, but then they like
she pushes him
then she pushes him away.
Yeah. Well, one I really wanted to highlight was the church scene, where we kind of have the couple that they're they're both kind of shocked, and they walk into this cathedral where this wedding is happening, and it's a really, really amazing scene where we kind of have the pastor. He's reading the what do you call that, I don't would it's not vows, but it's what the pastor says to the to the bride and groom.
Oh, it is the
Yeah,
vows. Yeah.
it's the vows. Okay, he's
Yeah.
reading the vows out to the groom, and I wrote the quote down, but he was like, I know it's probably a little skewed because it's a lot older, but he says you have to guide and protect her. And that line, when the husband hears it, it makes him cry so much because
Yeah.
it's an exact like he has been harming her. There's a thing about it. He's been harming her. Not we never have any evidence of like physical harming before the boat scene, but we have like all this mental harming where he's just not being there for her. He's not caring for her. He's not loving for her. But then he has this realization in the cathedral that he's fucking it all up. He's not doing it right. He's taken the dark end of it. um Such a good scene, though. Such a good scene.
Oh yeah. The the way that, yeah, I mean, you can also think of, there's like this, obvious religious parallel too in
Mhm.
this scene, and how it's like kind of this realization for his character that, like, what is his mistress going to offer him that she what is his mistress going to offer him that his wife doesn't, and like his wife clearly cares about him a lot more than this like person that's like manipulating him, and he's also to blame
Mhm.
for like this kind of these fleeting feelings of like passion. So
Mhm. um
it's
I
it's
guess
really
I
a oh, what were you gonna say?
No, you can go ahead. It can wait.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's really a something that's really a shame to me, is that, I believe I may have touched upon this briefly maybe last week when I announced this as the film, but
Mhm.
the original negative of this film was destroyed in the 1937 Fox Vault fire. And so
Mhm.
the copy that the surviving copy is very good, but it's just unfortunate that the original negative will never be recovered because of a fire that occurred. And a lot of these old Fox films are just completely gone
Mhm.
because of poor upkeep on the part of the studio, and just, yeah, and bad temperature control. So just wanted to
Well, I was gonna ask you, is that cut longer? Because I know. um
there's a few cuts that you can
mhm.
watch. This is the Fox movie tone version, is like the one that people tend to go with, and people tend to recommend. But then there's also, I believe there's a cut from Czechoslovakia
Mhm.
that like people also that also survived. It's wait, let me see.
Is
It's
that the hour 46 one?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
European silent version. Yeah. So, but I think the Fox movie like, I don't know what else. I haven't seen the other cut, but I don't know what else it would be able to
Add.
accomplish.
Yeah.
Because like the Fox movie tone score is so like important to like the film, like as far as like it's like perfectly scored.
Mhm.
And I don't know what a European version would do to change it.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you, I thought it was interesting. Um, Going back to the boat scene,
Mhm.
we kind of hear bells used, and I kind of took that as, like, I kind of use it to symbolize death, because you know how bells can be used to kind of seem very ominous, or very like dark in the moment. I
Mhm.
thought it was interesting how the use of the bells and the boat scene is juxtaposed against, or not directly, but we have the boat scene and then we have the city scene, and then that's like the cathedral scene is kind of packed in there.
Mm.
But I thought it was interesting how bells were used to kind of symbolize death, but then it's also kind of turned into like a renewed, to symbolize like a renewed love at the same time. And I thought it was very sweet how we get to see them kind of walk out the cathedral as if they've kind of been married again.
Yeah, like renewed. Yeah, the renewal of their vows. And then we have the motif of sunrise, the actual literal sunrise.
Yeah.
To bookend the film as kind of a as the girl from the city leaves this farm town to kind of symbolize like it's a new day. Their love is like new, is reborn almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, the I guess just a few other things I wanted to bring up was on top of the unfortunate loss of this movie from the unfortunate loss of the original negative of this film, is that the follow-up film that Murnau made, Four Devils, is also lost. Like, there's not a single clip that has survived. There are promotional photos that exist, and shot lists and storyboards, and that's pretty much it. Janet Gaynor was also in that film, and I think that it was also probably lost in that very same Fox Vault fire in 37. But I've heard it's pretty good. It's like about trapeze artists, and it's like a drama. But yeah, so another lost film by Murnau. But if you really like Murnau a lot, or if hopefully we've convinced you to get more into him, I would also recommend checking out the Trace Murnau's Four Devils, Traces of a Lost Film. It's on YouTube. It's about 40 minutes long, and it's with a film historian, Janet Bergstrom. I believe it was made as a supplement on either the City Girl or Sunrise Eureka Blu-ray release from a few years ago. And she just goes into all like what the film was kind of about based off of the reconstruction and the snippets that we have that she has at her disposal. And so she kind of is able to at least craft the most comprehensive outline of the film that we'll have, and hopefully it will turn up at some like estate sale like randomly. And but right now that's the best we have.
That reminds me. Not just a quick little detour, but I think everyone is pretty much aware that me and Chris are big Peter Bogdanovich fans, as well as friend of the show Reagan Jones, and friend of the show Reagan Jones sent us this great article.
Yeah,
we'll put it in the description, but I think it's a great read. It's about Peter Bogdanovich's last film, and if you're into film kind of preservation and restoration like we are, I also think this is a very interesting read. So I highly recommend it. It's about the original director's cut of Peter Bogdanovich's She's Funny That Way, which is originally called Squirrels to the Nuts. So we'll link that in there. It's a fantastic read. I highly recommend it.
yeah.
Sorry, I remembered I wanted to put it in the description, but I forgot.
No, thanks for remembering to because it's an interesting read, especially this man's like kind of story with Peter Bogdanovich, and how he's been like such a big Peter Bogdanovich fan like his whole entire life pretty much, and then managed to correspond with him regularly, and has done extensive writing on like these very minor Peter Bogdanovich movies that I don't even think Reagan has seen. So like that Rob Lowe one from the 80s that I can't remember the name of off the top.
I want to see all of it, truth be told.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. Just like I want to see all the FW Murnau movies that I can that
I want to survive. Yeah. I don't want to spoil the reading, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week. We'll give people time to read it.
Yeah. but yeah, that's really all. I guess that's really all I have to say about Sunrise. The I will briefly talk about City Girl when I talk about the
Films
limited
of the
amount of
week.
movies that I
Yeah.
watched this week. But yeah, then this is
Mhm.
like it's one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah. I guess my final thing I want to talk about. Uh, I have three quick things. I thought the use of it's almost like a prototype, like early green screen effect, where I mean, and plenty of other directors have done this too as well. I just don't know when the earliest use of it was. They had there's this lovely scene that shows I think it's after the big kind of halting of the city, halting of
Yeah.
all the cars in the middle of the street. You kind of see the our lovers walk, and then we have like these images projected on a screen in front of them, and then they kind of record that after to kind of create this effect that they're kind of traveling to different spaces,
Mm-hmm.
but still constant at the same time. I just thought that was really interesting. Um, now, I don't think there should necessarily be a remake of this film, but if there was going to be a remake of the film, I think the Coen brothers would do a very good job with it.
Really? Well,
Yeah, I don't know.
well,
It rang. It's there's a twisted nature of it, but there's also a lot of heart and there's justice in a weird way as well. Um,
and then
but I don't know.
Timothy Chalamet
Oh
and
no, no,
and Zendaya.
no. They're doing
But
enough. They're doing good in their own respective things.
um, well, all right.
Oh sorry. I have one other thing. If you want to do a double feature, I think it would be interesting to do a double feature with this and Honeymoon Killers. Kind of extremes, but I think they're kind of in the same a little bit in the same ballpark in terms of like the whole idea of how far do you take killing your spouse. So, you know.
Okay, wait, actually, I'm incorrect about one thing about Sunrise. So the two versions that are on the release of the that are on the Eureka Entertainment release and the regular Fox release in America is the Czech version and the Fox Movie Tone version. And the Czech version actually runs 79 minutes, and the
Oh, so that's the hour and 19 cut.
yeah, which
Huh.
what would you cut out of this movie is what I'm
I don't
wondering.
know.
Um,
When I saw that, because on IMDb there's three time there's three run times. So I figured the 119 was maybe like a TV cut or something, but I don't
mhm.
really because it's not a long movie as is. I don't really know why you would cut it down to such a weird number.
I see. Yeah, I don't know either. All right. Well, I guess we can take an ad break and then we
Mhm.
will talk about
Some
miscellaneous things.
yeah. Okay, we're back to talk about some miscellaneous things. Um well, Chris, I'll let you start because you have City Girls. I think that would be a good kind of follow up.
So, City Girl is a film. It was the last film that was made by F.W. Murnau for Fox Studios before he but well and he actually left, I believe, in the editing room because he got into a spat with William Fox about his own creative vision, and it led him to just leave. Like, he was just like, I'm done with this. It was originally supposed to be called Our Daily Bread, which then ended up, and then the title ended up getting changed to City Girl. So I explained the premise earlier, but yeah, to just, quickly go through it again. It's like this girl that's a waitress in the city. She meets this guy that's a farmer that is going into the city to sell some wheat for his dad, and then they
Some
fall in
weed.
love. Some weed, yeah. he's he's like, yo, let me smoke you out. uh
no.
So he sells some wheat, and then he goes into he goes into the city to sell his wheat, and then he falls in love with this girl. And since it's like the 20s, like they meet like one day, and then like the next day they get married. And so that part of the movie is like the first third, and then they go to the farm, and it's kind of her adjusting to farm life, and also having to overcome the hostility that she's faced by the main guy's father. And so it's a very, very lovely film, another great Murnau picture. And there's also some really great tracking shots in this. There's one where they're running through the wheat fields together, and they're just like so happy and stuff. And I think it really kind of emphasizes the love that they feel for each other in kind of a similar, and so similarly along the lines of something like Sunrise. However, I keep hearing from people and are reading online that this was one of the direct inspirations for Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven, which we did cover on this podcast, over a year ago, and is one of my favorite movies as well. However, I can't find any citations that would confirm that, and I think it could just be a lot of conjecture on people's part, just to say, oh, this movie has a lot of shots of wheat fields and it's about farm life, and there are some similar shots, but I can't find anything where like Terrence Malick is like, this is exactly what I'm going for, or Haskell Wexler saying, as a cinematographer, I really wanted to mimic the look of F.W. Murnau's City Girl. So that's unfortunate that I can't find that confirmation, but they are very similar. And it's definitely worth checking out. It's like literally on YouTube, the restoration that Eureka did. And it's one of the print. This is the surviving print, and it's just a silent version that they have the score that they recreated and stuff, and it's still good. But there was a Fox Movie Tone version that was destroyed and has not been found. So
Was that also in the fire?
Probably, yeah. I can't
yeah.
I can't confirm that, but I mean, I would assume it was probably in that Fox fire. And then just the last thing I'll talk about is I rewatched Fight Club, because unfortunately Meatloaf did pass away on Friday, and I wanted to pay my respects to him, because I am a big Meatloaf fan. I think as an actor and as a singer, and I hadn't seen Fight Club in a while. I hadn't seen it since I was like 14, so I checked that one out, and it really didn't like it. It's quite bad. I find the ideology to be quite vapid.
Awesome.
Yeah, so sick. Yeah. I just like there's so much. There's like stuff at the beginning that, like, the monologue at the beginning, I think is like really good, where he's just talking about like, I try to feel at peace with myself by just like buying the IKEA catalog, and just like, this is a projection of myself. These objects are me. This apartment is me. Like, that's a really, really good critique of like consumerism. But then it just kind of becomes like dumb black pilled bullshit, where it's like, we have to destroy Project Mayhem. We have to blow up all the credit card companies. And I know it's not like an endorsement of that stuff and anything, but I just found it to be like very much like you just took a intro to philosophy, and you just found out what the word dialectic means or something like that. Like, especially if you know the plot twist, which like I think everybody does at this point, like it's even dumber. Because like it's one of those movies I think where like when you find out the plot twist and you like rewatch it, it kind of takes it down a peg as far as like enjoyment. It's just like, wow, that was so cool. You totally got me there.
Mhm.
The Where Is My Mind needle drop at the end of the movie is laughable in current year. Like it's so funny that this was like seen as like, whoa, this is like a really good like credit
Dude.
song, but it's like now that song's just been totally memed to death. So
Well,
you're
they've been one upped. Malignant. It was a one up. I mean, when you get one upped, you get one upped, you know?
yeah, it's
So,
not Fincher's fault.
mm-mm.
Fincher's just another one of those directors that, you get older and you grow out of David Fincher. You say, this guy was really uh important to me at a certain age in my life, when I was just being exposed to like movies and stuff. And I'm fine with letting other people enjoy his films. I
I have a very vivid memory when I got into David Fincher. I ordered all of his films that I could on Amazon,
including Fight Club.
including Fight Club. I didn't have a copy of it, but I was like, I need to have a copy of it on Blu-ray. I didn't get the DVD one, so I'm like missing a few, I want to say, but um I'm still interested in David Fincher. I don't think I agree with you. I think he is an introductory director. Um, not, I mean, we've been very vocal how we feel about Mank. I'm happy that he got to do it for his dad.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm that crazy about the film. But you know, yeah, I don't know. If they do Mindhunter season 3, I'd be pleased. That would be interesting. But but we'll see. He's doing good though for himself. He's got a big Netflix deal. He's working with them a lot and everything.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Mhm. But
Uh,
did you have any other ones that you want to talk about?
no, I don't have anything else.
Okay. So I might save one because Chrissy said you're gonna watch it tomorrow. I might
Mm.
save Leviathan because me and Chris are taking the same Russian cinema class. Leviathan was one of the movies that we had to talk about. I don't have too much to say about it, but I think it would be interesting if I just waited till you had seen it, to kind of talk about it. Um, but I have had an extremely busy week, so I haven't had too much time to watch stuff. And there were no really any recent releases that came out this week that me and Chris are able to go see. But I did get the chance to see The Mummy from 1999, which is a film I've been meaning to get
Mhm.
around to for forever because I do love a good action adventure film. Um, and I think The Mummy still has the legs to stand up, against all of the other popular like big action adventure, or I'll say adventure, big like adventure franchises of the time of like the early 2000s. But the only reason I say this is I do hold the Pirates kind of trilogy in high regard. I have been a big fan of those for forever. And I just still get amazed by how like the visual effects of those films do tend to kind of hold up.
Mhm.
And oh boy, in The Mummy, they really look rough. Uh the visual effects are quite rough, but I'm a part of the kind of camp that kind of I can look that aside. I'm like, it's a part of the time. It's not that big of a deal. Um, but I don't know. I don't think I have too much to say, but it is fun. I do like Brendan Fraser. I'm excited for the Brendan Fraser um resurgence that we're getting with him. It made me kind of want to rewatch George of the Jungle because I haven't seen George of the Jungle since I was a kid. I think that would be kind of fun. But yeah, no, I do plan on finishing out the trilogy. Um, but I've seen Scorpion King, which I find to be funny that I saw that before seeing any of the Mummy films, but I knew
That's so
who and where he
funny.
was from. Um, but yeah, I don't know. And then the last one, it's kind of a cop out, I will admit, because I haven't finished the movie. I have about 30 minutes left of it. But I started to watch The Last Witch Hunter, which for people who might not know, it's a Vin Diesel film in which Vin Diesel plays, as you could guess it, a witch hunter who's immortal slash invincible. And so he's lived for 800 years. And this is the first film that has ever actually, to my knowledge, of my limited knowledge of Vin Diesel films, I've seen a good bit because I've seen all the Fast and Furious films and selected other ones like The Pacifier and everything. No one has ever tried to put a wig or a beard on Vin Diesel until I've seen this movie. To my knowledge, I've never seen Vin Diesel in a beard. I've never seen Vin Diesel in a wig, and it's very funny. And this movie is just really odd. It's got Michael Caine, it's got Elijah Wood. For people who are familiar of the YouTuber Anything for Views, the villain looks exactly like Anything for Views, and that's also very, very funny. Yeah, I mean, it's I also don't have too much to say because I haven't finished it, so I don't want to put like my final thoughts on it. But if you're a fan of Vin Diesel, I would say check this out.
If you're a fan of Vin Diesel, then you'll love this.
You got the thumbs up. It's not a very great movie, but it's slightly entertaining. If you want to watch a bad movie that's very entertaining, I've talked about a slew of plenty of films on the podcast before. I would select any of those maybe over this one first. But like I said, if you're a Vin Diesel completionist, this film is for you.
Oh, Fulton, we have to watch Babylon AD together. This Vin Diesel movie looks fucking sick.
I've seen parts of it, and it was on TV. It's fantastic from what I've seen. And I came across the Blu-ray, and I got the raw and uncut version of it. So you just tell me a place and a time, and we'll pop that sucker in and we'll watch that.
Well, the really amazing thing, Fulton, is that the man that directed Babylon AD directed La Haine.
You know what? It's an upgrade from La Haine, I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, totally.
I did not know that he directed La Haine. Well, I guess every small, not indie, but every small time director in our age has to do their big sci-fi film.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Matthew Kesevitz, he said, you let me I was forced to make La Haine for those dumb art for the dumb artsy crowd, and now I can make my movie Babylon AD.
Exactly. It's pretty interesting. I'm excited. I've had the Blu-ray, I just haven't had the chance to pop it in yet, so this makes it even better.
Definitely one of those things that you just like kind of see at like Big Lots. I feel like that's a Big Lots movie.
Well, it was funny because it was on, what TV channel was it? It's a Spike. It seems like a movie that would always be on Spike
because it's it's just for the guys.
Yeah, it's just for the dudes. You know what I mean? And so, I'm wondering, how much does the uncut version add on to it? So I'm just kind of curious.
I don't know.
But we can end it though. We can pull it all in. All right. So I guess in terms of next week, this is not an endorsement for the I don't want people to think that we are sponsored. Although Indicator, if you do want to sponsor us, please let us know. But I saw Indicator's new releases that they're doing, and one of the films is a film that I'd never heard of before, but it sounded awesome. And it was Mad Dog Morgan. And I'll read out a quick synopsis. It's from 1976, and it's the true story of Irish outlaw Daniel Morgan, who is wanted dead or alive in Australia during the 1850s, and it has Dennis Hopper in the lead role. And I just thought it would be a very, very interesting film to cover, because me and Chris kind of don't know too much about it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It just looked very captivating.
Yeah, I've heard it's a violent Dennis Hopper movie. So
I mean, isn't that what you want?
yeah.
From Dennis Hopper. So
Texas
yeah,
Chainsaw 2. Better watch out.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be on that same level of Dennis Hopper violence.
That'll be interesting. But yeah, so join us next week for Mad Dog Morgan, and stay safe, stay warm.
Yeah, for sure. And stay
Cold
wavy.
where we are. Yeah.
All right, have a good one.
Who are you? What be your name?
Billy Ballang.
Good on you, Billy. Oh, mother. I want to cross the river and stay in New South Wales. And I don't want to come back until I'm ready. Will you come with me? Billy.
Men larga jawal mengo jombo men ma larga jawal mengo gon del nyangan jawal mengo wane ra men larga jawal mengo jombo rel nyangan wela gopor yar kyar mengo bukora goror yango jal ngeng menga ngale yende wane ra men larga jawal mengo
Where do you come from, boy?
I don't know really. I think my father was white. I think. Because they came to kill my tribe. Because they took the sheep.